The Starr and D'Amico Show, brought to you by cheapesttshirts.ca. Need blanks for your next event or club? Check out cheapesttshirts.ca. No minimum order, free shipping over $350. Same-day shipping on lots of items. Affordable, Canadian, ready to print your design. Brought to you by Catherine Prince at Remax Platine, your Montreal real estate connection. Call her at 514-702-2474 or email Catherine with a K, Catherine at catherineprince.com. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest with confidence, Catherine Prince, your key to the city's property market. Brought to you by McLean's Pub. Looking for a lively downtown spot with great food and atmosphere? Come to McLean's Pub on Peel Street. Classic pub eats, plenty of beer, and all the sports on all the screens. Grab your friends and make McLean's your go-to place tonight. Brought to you by Cabletel, your full-service telecom partner for business and home. From structured cabling and phone systems to Wi-Fi, cameras, and alarms, Cabletel keeps you connected, secure, and performing at your best. Your partner for the future. It's Cabletel.
Hi, I'm Audrey. My parents, Chuck and Evie, are too busy caring about your pets, so I'm here to remind you to check out a family-owned store, Little Bear Pet Supplies. Can you believe it's been there for almost 30 years? They know that your pets are family too, and they've made shopping easy this holiday season, with fun toys and healthy treats that you won't find everywhere. They even offer fast home delivery, and my brother and I sometimes help too. Please shop local this year.
Thanks, Audrey. Come visit us at 4152 St. Catherine Street West, littlebearonline.com, or find us on the Uber Eats app.
Happy holidays from the Starr and D'Amico Show. Drum roll, please. It's time for the rarity. Marco D'Amico showing his dexterity here. Marco's got some musicianship in him. We know that if you're a loyal viewer to the show. Thank you for liking and subscribing for daily Habs content. I hope you enjoy some time with the family. You're eating well. And please, if you're going out, take an Uber, take a taxi. We don't need to be messing around here. We want everybody healthy and happy for 2026. Healthy and happy, the Montreal Canadiens prospect pool. Marco, let's dive into it. Let's do a fun little top 10 so we can have some fun over this holiday period. Let's talk about the top 10 Montreal Canadiens prospects. First off, before we get into our top 10, let's get a gauge on how deep / talented, in your estimation, this prospect pool is for the Montreal Canadiens organization. How would you classify it?
I think that we can say that it's above average in the NHL. I think it's still top 10.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it has to do with, the first 4 or 5 prospects. I think you're seeing a couple of guys really kind of elevate of late. And I think that also kind of helps the Canadiens in their overall, I would say, strength. But it hurts, obviously, when you lose an Ivan Demidov and an Oliver Kapanen in this regard, because to me, to be considered still a prospect, I don't consider a player a prospect when they've played more than 30 games. So that is our cutoff.
Okay.
Just so we kind of understand where we're going with this, and this applies to goalies as well. So just so you know where we're going. But before we even get into the top 10, because it is pretty packed, Atos Koivu is definitely just right around there, like at 11 for me. Just a guy that has a wicked shot that I'd like to see show more offense in the Finnish Liga, but I think is going to put on a show for a lot of you during the World Junior Championships for Finland. Player to watch that I think is still got some untapped potential, but more likely like a third line winger if he really hits at the NHL. And then the Canadiens we're going to talk about goaltending, of course.
Yeah.
But the Canadiens have a ridiculous amount of depth at this point. And
nice to see.
For me, when we're talking about depth at that position, we'll talk about what they have in the pro level. But, Keita Miller, who a lot of people had kind of written off, is having a sensational season in the NCAA right now. Just ridiculous numbers for Denver, who, granted, does play a very defensive system, but they look fantastic. And then, all from top to bottom, like the Canadiens have 3 goalies in the NCAA that really are putting on, their respective shows in terms of getting the kind of output that you would want from them. Like Emmett Croteau, who is primarily being used in a backup role. He's only played 6 games, but he's got a .953 save percentage. Absolutely bonkers. And you just keep going down the line. It's just really impressive in terms of how they've been able to find some of these guys. Like Alexis Cournoyer, who was drafted in the 5th round, 9 games for Cornell and has a 937 save percentage and a 169 goals against. So these are guys to keep an eye out. I'm always a little conservative with goaltenders just because the position is so up and down and unpredictable. But, if they can continue this throughout the season and get, more starts, and this continues through next year, then the Canadiens are going to have a couple more goalies in the top 10.
So let's get into the top 10 list. Again, the caveat being you can't play more than 30 games at the National Hockey League level. So sorry, Kapanen. Sorry, Demidov. So let's get into this. Let's get into your top 10. Coming in at number 10, Marco, on the Canadiens' top 10 prospect pool, Logan Sawyer.
Probably the most underrated prospect in the Canadiens pool at this moment. Logan Sawyer was drafted in the 3rd round, 78th overall in 2024. Plays for a very defensive-minded Providence College. Those that remember last year, he was playing on the same team as 1st-round pick Trevor Connolly. Actually outproduced him, prior to the injury, but it really is indicative. Like, this is not a team that is known for offensive production. Their top scorer last year had 24 points in 37 games. Well, if you fast forward to this year, the stat sheet doesn't jump out at you, but Logan Sawyer has 14 points in 16 games, which is impressive considering that 1st-round pick Roger McQueen and other top prospect John Mustard, a 3rd-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks, currently have 13 and 12 points respectively. So Logan Sawyer leading the Providence College in the NCAA in scoring. And he just plays that gritty two-way style as a center. I don't have necessarily a player comparable for you, but he went from being a guy in the system like we've seen in the past, like with the Blake Biondies and the Jack Smiths and all that, to being a legitimate, a guy that I believe maybe not this year, perhaps next year, that the Canadiens offer an ELC to, and we see him in Laval.
Logan Sawyer at number 10. Coming in at number 9, Canadian fans have been familiar with this next Canadiens prospect, but he meets the criteria of not having played 30 games at the pro level. Say hello to Owen Beck.
Well, at the NHL level.
Well,
Definitely played more than,
yeah.
But
AHL's
Owen Beck,
pro,
I think Owen Beck is a safe bet to be an NHLer at this point. I know, shocking, right? I say this, shortly after he scored his first goal of his career. So when it comes to Owen Beck, I mean, he just has the hockey IQ, the intensity, the skating, the shot, like all the tools are there for him to be a serviceable bottom 6 center. And I think when you look at the rest of the prospects that are coming, you kind of understand why he's at 9, but that's not a problem. There's a group of players between, I would say, 7 and 12 that are in the same range of risk and assurance. And I just feel like Owen Beck, whether it's with Montreal, whether it's, with another team, I think he's just too intelligent to fail. And one of the big things he had to learn with the transition to the AHL is just bringing that mean to his game, being physical. And I think those that are watching his current stint in the NHL right now, I think you're noticing it. He's not a guy that's getting pushed off the puck. He's not a guy that's scared to go into traffic. And he's got that shot. That wrister of his is really impressive. Just got to use it more. And so I think as he finds his game, this is going to be your prototypical 3rd, if all goes well, if not, worst case, 4th line center in the NHL. And that's another right shot, really good at faceoffs. That's a really good person. That's a really good player to have 9th on your list.
And he's got wheels. Coming in at number 8, watching him at the World Junior Hockey Championships, representing Team USA, LJ Mooney.
Yeah, LJ Mooney is just phenomenal. And I think one of the things that impresses me the most about LJ Mooney is he's not lighting Minnesota on fire right now in terms of his offense, but Coach Bob Motzko for the Minnesota Golden Gophers absolutely adores him for his two-way game, which is not something that you would have assumed would have been a thing at the beginning of the season. Now, granted, Minnesota is not an offensive powerhouse this season. Brody Zemer, I believe the Buffalo Sabres 3rd round pick, is the only player on that team to be a point per game with 19 points in 19 games. After that, you have Mooney with 15 points in 19 games. So something to keep in mind when we assess the offense here. But one of the things that I've enjoyed from LJ Mooney is that he also plays like first wave power play and penalty kill for the Gophers. So his game is becoming very complete because if he really wants to crack the NHL at his size, then you're gonna have to be as versatile as humanly possible. And so if he could play penalty kill while being an absolute menace on the power play, they're going to find a role for you in the NHL. I think that that's the key, right? He's very physical for a 5'8" forward, like very physical.
5'8".
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But Bob
Yeah.
Motzko, the coach of Team USA, absolutely wants him on the team and is even open to playing him at center. That is how good his hockey IQ and 200-foot game is becoming. So I don't sleep on LJ Mooney, regardless of his size, regardless of how many small players the Canadians have on their roster. We're talking about, is this player going to play NHL games? And I'm willing to bet that he will. Absolutely. And I think he's got the work ethic to stick around.
Your top 10 Montreal Canadian prospects: LJ Sawyer, Owen Beck, LJ Mooney. Was there a little bit of back and
Logan
forth
Sawyer.
as we move to as we move to the next one? And Canadian fans wanted him. You got to see him in a very small sample size with the Laval Rocket. It's for Florian Xhekaj.
So the reason I was flip-flopping between Mooney and Xhekaj, and I'll give you my reasoning. From a pure potential perspective, I think Mooney is a much better prospect than Florian Xhekaj. From a assurance perspective, I think there's a little bit more risk with LJ Mooney. I think that's understandable. That's why he went in the 4th round. But those are the kinds of gambles you want the Canadians to take as they trade away first-round picks for top flight, roster players. And it's understandable. And so to me, Florian Xhekaj, I put him at 7 because he's a unicorn in the sense that if he continues to develop properly, he's going to be that physical bottom 6, crash and bang, potentially center, left shot center, mind you, that the Canadians so desperately need because they're not very big on the bottom 6 right now. And I think he's part of that endeavor that the Canadians really tried. They began when they drafted Uri Slafkovsky first overall, right? You look at the subsequent drafts, you get a guy like Florian Xhekaj in 2023, Tyler Thorpe 2024, Hayden Papanikis in 2025. Like there's a clear idea that the Canadians want to have a big bottom 6, and I think it begins with a guy like Florian Xhekaj cracking the roster on a regular basis. And talking to him and the coaches around him in Laval, like this is a guy who continues to try to find another level of his game. And I just feel like, a couple more summers of consistent, honest training in his regard, like he did this season, this offseason. I think he's an NHL player that's going to be able to keep up and be the kind of clutch, bottom line player that when you need a momentum shift or when you need an energy shift, he's going to be the guy out there to deliver the big hit or go crash the net or, try to make a difference any way he can. So it's tough with Mooney and him. I wanted to keep him around the same, but it's literally by a hair at this point.
Going through your top 10 Montreal Canadian prospects, coming in at number 6, and we did a deep dive on this young man playing for the Medicine Hat Tigers of the Western Hockey League. He is on a historic pace. Not historic enough to crack the top 5. In at number 6 is Bryce Pickford.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this speaks to, again, risk versus assurances. And I think Bryce Pickford, what he's doing in the WHL is absolutely silly. 25 goals in 31 games, on pace for the first 50-goal season in the WHL in 35 years.
Crazy.
It is really insane in what he does. Again, not a small player, 6'1", 185. The reason why I have him at 6, simply put, is because there are 2 other defensemen ahead of him that are very close to the NHL, if not already in the NHL.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to afford room for that. I think that if we're having this conversation in June, he very much would be in the top 5. So I think that that's more of the situation. But Pickford, again, like elite offensive ability, elite shooting ability. I think it's more the gap control and the physical edge that I'd like to see more of. And I think that's going to be necessary for him to crack the NHL. But, again, for a third round pick, we just finished talking about LJ Mooney being a solid bet, in the fourth round. Well, Bryce Pickford was a great bet in the third round as an overager. He was drafted at 19. So he'll likely be in Laval for next season. And I think that's what's going to be really telling. If he can come into Laval and that offense, transitions easily, which I believe it will, then he will rise in terms of the projection and the legitimacy of his ability to play in the NHL, because he's got the shooting mechanics, he's got the vision, he's got the heart, he's got the IQ. Now it's just a question of, can he defend bigger players, stronger players, faster players? And that's why I always have a little bit of a reservation when it comes to high scoring defensemen in the dub or in the CHL in general, because the transition, we're even seeing players transitioning from the WHL to the NCAA having difficulty. It's a whole other level going to the AHL. So I always put a little bit of caution there. But from what I keep seeing, he definitely has a fan in me in terms of his ability.
Coming in at number 5, you alluded to it in the lead up to the breakdown of Bryce Pickford as we go over the top 10 Montreal Canadian prospects. At number 5, he's made quite the impression at the NHL level. Smooth skating, calm in his own end. It's Adam Engstrom at number 5.
Yeah, it's fun with the players that have played in the NHL already. You don't really have to talk much about them because I think everybody kind of knows why Adam Engstrom would be number 5 on this list. I think Adam Engstrom has top 4 potential in the NHL. And I really feel like when you see this guy play, the fluidity of his skating, just the decision making he does, the way he's able to transport the puck, the way he walks the line, very interesting player. And I just finished talking about it with Bryce Pickford. But one of the elements that I think that Adam Engstrom has really kind of taken on and made his own is the physical side. And it's something that he told me helps get him in the game. And so when you have a guy like Adam Engstrom that's able to be that physical, that's able to be a guy that could, help move the puck out of the zone quickly and even transition it himself, I think that he's going to be a very valuable piece for the Montreal Canadiens, be it on their roster, be it in the trade front, regardless. But I think this is a guy that's destined to be, if all goes well, a good number 4 on an NHL team, because he's got everything that you would need: size, speed, intelligence, good shot, great passing ability. He checks off so many boxes. I couldn't remove him. It was between him and Pickford at number 5, and I just had to go with what's in front of us right now.
I think that's the right call. And I think, if you're talking about potential trade bait, Montreal Canadiens better get a hell of a player if you're going to put an Adam Engstrom out there.
Oh, yeah. It has to be top.
Correct. Top tier. I agree. Coming in at number 4, we're inside the top 5. Everyone waiting for this young man to come on over. He's on pace to break records set by Montreal Canadiens future superstar Ivan Demidov. Coming in at number 4 is Alexander Zharovsky.
Absolutely. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for not having him higher, but Alexander Zharovsky right now
pretty good.
Yeah, but we'll see. Anyway, Alexander Zharovsky has been absolutely phenomenal on the power play in the KHL. Plays in the weaker Eastern Conference. Most of the top teams are in the Western Conference. That's where the money's at. So he's getting a substantial amount of minutes for a player in his situation, vis-a-vis someone like Demidov or like Artamanov or Danila Yurov in the same times that we're going through the same things. But what he does well, excellent vision, great one-on-one ability. He's got a good shot. What does he need to work on? His speed of execution. Definitely the defensive side of the puck, though playing him at center for those 15 odd games was really good at helping him, in terms of positioning. He's got top 6 potential all day, every day. The only thing that's really going to help him get to that next level, he's got to put some weight on that mass, because right now I think he's at 175, 176. He's got to put some weight on that. He's got to get stronger in terms of his lower body. He's got to get, these are all normal things that a prospect does. But if Alexander Zharovsky hits, he is going to be a menace to play against in the Canadiens' top 9, if not top 6, because he has the hands, he has the body, he has the intelligence, a guy that could wreak havoc on a power play in Montreal in a not so distant future.
Coming in at number 3, he's cracked the 50-game threshold at the North American professional level. It's the stud defenseman with the Laval Rocket currently, David Reinbacker.
Yeah, David Reinbacker has been really good since coming back. I think consistently one of the best Laval Rocket defenseman and easily their best defensive defenseman as it's gone around. He's been really impressive in the transition, and it's almost like every game he continues to stack. The Laval Rocket right now not very deep with the suspensions and all the call-ups, but he's definitely been able to take over from Adam Engstrom, who was called up from the Canadiens and has been doing quite well. The Canadiens are very excited about the way he's been developing. And I would also add that other NHL teams are starting to take notice as well, that if he's able to stay healthy and find consistency, this is a guy that's top four right shot defenseman all day, every day, that's going to be able to take those hard minutes that the Canadiens are currently giving to a guy like Alex Carrier and could potentially form a really elite pairing with a Lane Hudson or a Caden Gooley down the line.
It was interesting. I thought he would have been either number 1 or number 2 on that list, but he isn't. Reinbacker in at number 3, coming in at number 2. Got his
Number
first
two is
NHL shutout against his boyhood team. The guy's 2-0 against the Penguins. The number 2 ranked prospect on the Montreal Canadiens top 10 prospect list is Jacob Fowler.
Jacob. Yeah, so I don't think I have much to say when it comes to Jacob Fowler, other than you see what I see. I see with 21-year-old goalie just coming in, getting a shutout in his 4th game in the NHL.
Yeah.
Just looks very controlled. His technique is excellent. His movements are controlled. Very calm, cool, collected. Just the key signs of a future elite goaltender. I don't think that it's immediate. I know that there's a lot of hype around him, but this is a guy to keep an eye on out for, because I think he will be one of the top goaltenders when he is in his prime in this league.
So that takes us to number 1. And I don't think there's any surprise if you've been paying attention this long. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe for daily Habs content. The number 1 prospect in the Montreal Canadiens system, NCAA star, Team Canada star, Michael Hage.
I think Michael Hage, especially with the potential to be a top 6 center, I think Michael Hage has truly taken a step up this season. Prior to leaving for the World Junior Championships, was a co-leader in points in the NCAA with Will Horkoff and TJ Hughes. I think that's the best trio in the NCAA by bar none. But you're seeing the kind of confidence that Team Canada is giving him playing top 6 center in a tournament like this, between other centers like Brady Martin or TJ Ginla. It really goes to show the confidence they have in his two-way game, the way that he's kind of developed his defensive mindset. He's become much stronger in the neutral zone and the defensive zone. And he's also become much stronger physically, which allows him to be more effective along those board battles and one-on-one. But what makes Michael Hage lethal is that he can absolutely crush you on the rush. He's an elite transition player, really strong at moving the puck up the ice with possession, which is an elite skill. And I believe that if he hits, he could be a very, very dangerous player for the Montreal Canadiens. And it's one of the main reasons why Canadiens fans hold out hope that they don't need to trade for a number 2 center, but because they have it in the system right now in Michael Hage. So I think Michael Hage right now definitely playing above his where he was drafted at 21st overall. The Canadiens feel he should have gone much higher. And the way he's been playing lately, I don't blame them.
Agree, disagree? Let us know in the comments through your Montreal Canadiens top 10 prospects. Like and subscribe to the channel for daily Montreal Canadiens coverage. Looking forward to continued coverage in the 2026 season. Enjoy the World Junior Hockey Championships. Enjoy your family and enjoy the holiday break. And of course, we'll be here after each and every single Montreal Canadiens game. Marco D'Amico, thanks as always.
Always a pleasure, guys. Have a great day.